Today is July 14th, I believe. Uh, I'm all wrong. Today is the 16th. My days are still all off track because I was on vacation, so I was off for a week, so excuse me. Anyway, the point about the day is it is July, which means that in just like 2 weeks from now, on July 29th, it will mark my 1 year anniversary of being a homeowner. So, in order to celebrate or just, me being happy about coming up on my 1 year of being a homeowner, I decided that I would make a video just sharing my experience of buying my house and how I became a homeowner at the age of 25. So, first, let me just give you a little background information about my living situation post high school. So I graduated from high school and then I went off to college, stayed on the yard for 4 years, or on campus. We called it the yard at my school. But yeah, stayed on the yard for 4 years and then graduated and moved back home with my parents in 2013. I graduated in May 2013. So my plan was to, graduate, move back home, find a job, start working full time, and save up for a full year and then move out. Initially, my plan was to first move out into a house, but because I didn't have any previous apartment or anything, I didn't have any furniture, I would have had to furnish a whole house in addition to paying all of the fees associated with buying a house, like my down payment, closing costs, all of that type of stuff, because I wasn't taking any furniture from my parents' house just because it was like the furniture that I grew up with and I didn't want to take that to my own new place. So I ended up, my dad suggested that I rent an apartment first for a year and then buy my house. That way I would already have furniture from my apartment to move into the house. So that's what I ended up doing. So I started my first full-time job after college in September 2013. So started working, saving up money. So while I was working, living at home with my parents, I didn't have many bills to pay, so I was able to save a whole lot. So my parents had me pay them $100 a month for rent. Where are you gonna find that? Paying $100 a month for rent? Nowhere but your mama's house. So yeah, so that was one of my few bills. My little $100 to them, my car insurance, food, gas for my car. I didn't even have a car note then at that point, so yeah, that was it. That was my only bills I was paying. So the rest of my check, I would literally put it into a savings account and give myself $100 spending money, just like if I want to say eat lunch out or to go out or whatever, just $100 spending money to last me for 2 weeks. That's it. And sometimes I think I even like made it last, like gave myself $100 to last me spending money for a month. So it's just, I think I sometimes fluctuated depending on what was going on. But the rest of my check, I would put it into my savings account. So I was doing that for a year and a half. I ended up staying with my parents for a full year and a half before I decided to move out. Oh, and one more thing that I was paying while I was living at home with my parents, I did go ahead and pay off any debt that I had against my credit. So any old doctor's bills that I had, like anything that was on my credit, I paid it off while I was staying at home saving up money. So yeah, and that was it that I was paying for. So after I stayed there a year and a half, I started looking for my apartment and I moved out into my apartment August 2015. So moved into my apartment, signed my year lease, bought all my furniture to furnish the apartment. Because I had been saving up all that time to move out, I was didn't have to open up a bunch of furniture store credit accounts to pay for my furniture. I was really happy and proud that I went ahead and bought all my furniture in cash. So I bought bedroom set because, like I said, I never had a place of my own before, so I had to buy literally everything. So I bought bedroom set, washer and dryer, dining room set, living room set, but my parents, because they're so awesome, they gave me, I think it was like $1,000 towards my living room set as a gift. And if I picked a living room set that cost more than that, then they just had me pay the difference. So I think the one I ended up picking was like 15, so I had to pay like 500, but it was still like a really, really nice gift from them. So shout out to my parents. So yeah, so I furnished all my apartment, stayed there for a year. So like I said, I moved August 2015. So I started looking for a house March 2016 because I knew for sure I did not want to renew a lease, sign another lease, continue to stay at an apartment. I knew I didn't want to do that. So March I started looking because like the house buying process can be very long to find a house that you actually like and want to buy. So, but luckily for me, it didn't take me that long to find it. So I started looking, and I didn't get a real estate agent of my own. I was just looking online, like looking up my own places online. And my family was like looking up some places, helping me too. So I ended up coming across this neighborhood. Oh, and mind you, my whole thing was, my first choice for my house was to get a brand new house built from the ground up. Just because of the fact that like I've always grown up in new houses, like my parents, the houses that they've bought have always been new. And I feel like, you know, because it's a new house, it's under warranty at first. So if anything breaks, you're not coming out of pocket for anything responsible for it because it's under warranty. So they'll just fix it at no additional cost, which is awesome. So yeah, so I know I wanted a new house, but if I didn't find a house in my budget and an area that I wanted to stay in, I was of course open to staying in any nice house that I found. But luckily I ended up finding a neighborhood that was a new construction, went to go see it, fell in love with it, and decided, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to move over here. So when you go into a new construction neighborhood where they're building up their houses, there are real estate agents on site for you to talk to tell you all about the house, all that stuff. So talked to the real estate agent. She showed me the booklet with all the different floor plans, all the, you know, with the price range, what each one starts at, and the lots that were still available, all of that good stuff. So once I decided on, okay, I want to move over here, I selected my floor plan that I wanted and selected the lot that I wanted, which is just, because if you're not familiar with like how new construction neighborhoods work, there are lots like sectioned off for each house in the neighborhood. So there are numbers for each lot. For, okay, so lot number 2, the house will be built right here, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. So of course, depending on where your lot is, like lot sizes are different depending on where they are in the neighborhood. So I chose the largest lot that was available in the neighborhood, which was like kind of on the corner. So of course, because you want to pick the largest lot because it's going to give you the most land. So picked my lot and signed my contract. I don't think I signed my contract that very first day where I went and saw the house. I think I went back like a day or two later because my real estate agent ended up calling me saying, because she knew I was interested and was going to sign, and she ended up calling me letting me know that the prices were about to go up. So how it works, I found out, is that they start selling houses at starting price point, right? But if they see that there's a high demand for the houses and people are starting to buy them, a lot of times builders will go ahead and increase the price a little bit because they see there's a high demand for it. So of course they're going to try to get more money for them. So that's what ended up happening with me. So she told me like if I didn't sign that day or that next day or whenever, then I would have to pay that increased price, which I think was like another $4,000 or $5,000 more than the original price that I saw when I first went. So of course I'm like, well, let me go ahead and sign because I know I want to move over here. So let me just sign with this initial price that I saw, and now I have to pay this increased price. So that's what I end up doing. So sign my contract, and then I think the real estate agent called me maybe like the next day or two, let me know that I was approved for the house, and told me when I needed to come in to pay my earnest money. So the earnest money is just money that you're putting towards the house, and it goes towards your down payment for the house, and it's just money to actually put that house under contract so that nobody else can come and try to purchase that lot, buy a house on that lot because it's under contract. So pay my earnest money, and then I think then is when I started to discuss different upgrades available for my house and any upgrades that I wanted to add on my house. So in my particular neighborhood, the different upgrades that are available are you can get blinds put into your entire house, because over here blinds only are put in the front of your house, in the front windows, but not in your whole house. So any windows you have in the back or side, no blinds come with that. So that's an upgrade if you want blinds put in the entire house. And you can get a double door refrigerator, side by side door refrigerator, opposed to the top bottom, which of course the double door refrigerator is larger than the top bottom. You can add a covered porch to the back. You can add a fence. You can add double bowl sinks in the master bathroom. You can add like a thicker carpet, like just a lot of different upgrades that you can add to your house if you want to. So what I end up doing, oh, you can add a microwave above your stove opposed to the regular hooded stove area. So what I end up doing, I added the blinds around in my whole house. I initially added the fence, but because the fence was so expensive, they were charging like an extra $2,500 for to add a fence on your house, and that $2,500 was financed into your mortgage. So it's not like you could just pay the $2,500 out of pocket and keep your mortgage whatever price. No, that would be financed into it, and I thought it was kind of pointless to finance the fence. Like that just didn't make sense to me. So I took the fence off and added the covered porch instead in the my back for my back porch. And what else did I get? I got the microwave above the stove, the double door refrigerator, and I think that's it. And I ended up with double bowl sinks because my real estate agent said that she could throw that in there for me for free because it's going to add value to my home and all of that. But then it ended up being a whole kind of issues with that, and I didn't want that to pay for it for myself because it's not like I have a spouse right now where I actually need a double bowl sink. So I told them to go ahead and take it off because she ended up not being able to throw it in there like she said that she could. But kind of find out they end up putting the double bowl sink in my master anyway. So lucky me. But it was at no cost, no additional cost to me. So anywho, so yeah, those were some of the, I think that's all the upgrades that I got. And yeah, so once they added, I selected my upgrades. My real estate agent updated my contract because of course now the price for my house has changed and it has gone up a little bit, adding on those upgrades. So she sent me the updated contract for me to sign and all of that, and then she connected me to the mortgage loan officer, which is the person who handles all of the financials of your house loan process. They're gonna, put together all the numbers, let you know how much your interest rate is, how much your mortgage is gonna be, how much your property taxes is gonna be, all of that good stuff. So she connected me to the mortgage loan officer. He told me my options for my loan options for my house that I could choose from. So I could choose an FHA loan or have a conventional loan. So the difference between the two is that with the FHA loan, they required you to put down, I think it was 3% as a down payment, and your interest rate was a bit higher for the FHA loan. And they didn't cover all of your closing costs with the FHA loan. With the conventional loan, they required you to put down, I think it was 5%, if I'm not mistaken. They required you to put down 5%, but your interest rate was lower, and they covered all of your closing costs with the conventional loan. So those were the main differences between the two. So the loan that I went with was the conventional loan, just because although, yeah, the down payment that I would have had to pay out of pocket was more, my interest rate was lower, and they were covering all of my closing costs for closing. So, which was really good because my closing fees end up being like, maybe like, I want to say $6,000 or something like that. 5, 6, something like 5 or 6, something around that. So, but I didn't have to pay any of those closing costs because they did. So yeah, so that's the loan that I chose. And then after I chose the loan, he started putting together all of the paperwork and getting my loan together, and needed all of the paperwork from me, which was my W-2s. You have to send them a ton of stuff, okay? A ton of stuff. So you have to send them your like last 2 W-2s, your bank statements that shows the account where your money is in, like the money, like if you're putting down your down payment yourself out of pocket, they have to be able to like see that in your bank account to like verify that that money is actually yours and you didn't like rob a bank or something. So yeah, you got to send them your bank statements for like, I think it was like the past 3-4 months, something like that. You got to send them your pay stubs, your copy of your driver's license, social security card, all of that good stuff. So it's a lot of back and forth as far as like sending paperwork, signing documents, and all of that. So sent them all of that good stuff. And what was next? Sent him the paperwork, got my updated contract. Oh, and then the mortgage, the loan officer just started to calculate the mortgage. So he put me in touch with a insurance company for me to get my homeowner's insurance from. So I spoke with the insurance company, selected my homeowner's insurance, sent that information to the loan officer, and so that he could have it, because my property taxes and homeowner's insurance is in an escrow account, which means that when you escrow those things, you are paying, like in your monthly mortgage that you're paying each month, it consists of your principal that you're paying towards the house itself, how much you're paying towards the house itself each month, your interest rate, of course, your property taxes, and your homeowner's insurance. It consists of my monthly mortgage. So I'm paying my monthly mortgage to my mortgage company, which includes my insurance, property taxes as well, in that monthly price. And they are taking the money that's towards my homeowner's insurance and property taxes, and they're paying the insurance company and my county on my behalf. So I'm not actually like paying them myself. My mortgage company is paying them for me because it's escrow in an account with my mortgage. So yeah, that's how that whole escrow thing works. So once all of the numbers were calculated, added up, all of that, the loan officer was able to tell me the final, number of what my monthly mortgage would be, interest rate would be, all of that good stuff, good to go on the financial side. So all the while, my house is still being built. I don't think I told you. So I signed my contract in late March, early June. I closed on my house July 29th. So it took around 3 months for my house to be built. So in the process of while the house is being built, because like I said, it's built from the ground up, so it's like a really lengthy process, and you want to make sure that everything is done correctly. You might want to make sure that the builders are not cutting any corners. Just want to make sure that everything is good, because this is a huge purchase. So I was coming by my house to see my house like every week to check the progress and everything. So you do 2 walkthroughs when you're dealing with a new construction. The first walkthrough is before they put the drywall in your house, and you're pretty much making sure that everything is coming along good, that they're building the house like it's supposed to be built, pretty much. And then your second and last walkthrough is the actual day of your closing. So and of course the actual day of your closing, everything is supposed to be perfect, because at this point it's your closing date. So you're about to sign those papers and it's about to be your house, so everything has to be perfect. So the day of my closing, it was a few things missing, like they didn't have all of my blinds up in the house, and what else was missing, because I had to, like, the builder people had to like write down all that still needs to be done to my house, and I had to sign off on it, and they had to sign off on it, pretty much just saying that I was still going ahead to the lawyer's office to close on my house, knowing that these things still need to be done, and that the builder was going to fix these things and have them completed within like a week's time frame. So yeah, the other things were so small, I can't even remember what still need to be done, because they were really small things. But I know it's like a few things, maybe like 5 or 6 things that still need to be done to my house with the blinds and stuff. So yeah, so I went ahead and went on the closing. And how it worked for me was, went to the lawyer's office, and it's literally a stack of papers that's probably this thick. And I'm probably not even exaggerating, like it's probably for real that thick. It was so many papers, and it's like each page you're signing and initialing your name. Is so much information, just telling you all the details for your house, just a bunch of information, a bunch of signing and initialing. So that part took maybe like 20 minutes or so. And then after that, they had to send the paperwork, my closing documents, to the builder, because my builders didn't show up at the closing. So usually from what I hear is that if you're buying a house from an actual person, the person who's selling the house, they usually show up at closing, and both parties, the buyer and the seller, signs off on all the documents and all of that. But in a lot of cases where it's a new construction and it's a new build, the builders don't show up at closing. So they have to send that information, all that paperwork, over to them electronically, and have them sign off on it that way. So yeah, so when they sent or tried to send them the paperwork, they couldn't find, the real estate agent, from what I found out later, couldn't find my paperwork on their end. So my parents and I are just sitting out there waiting for probably like an hour and a half, just waiting and waiting. And I'm like, ask my parents, like, does this usually take this long? Like, what is going on? Like, I'm starting to get nervous. Like, did something happen? Like, what's going on here? But they finally ended up coming back, gave me the keys, and it was my house. But yeah, so oh, and I did forget one thing. So when I spoke with the loan officer, and they get all your numbers together and they tell you, like, once the numbers are final with your house price and all of that, the loan officer told me what my final exact number was that I needed to pay towards my down payment, and told me how I needed to pay that and everything. So I had to get a cashier's check and bring that to closing for my down payment. So that's how the whole down payment thing worked, because I paid my own down payment out of pocket. I didn't use any first time home buyers programs or anything like that. I can't remember why I didn't go that route. I want to say maybe it was just because I had already saved up money for a down payment, so I didn't even look into it. So I think that was pretty much why. Nothing. And I think a lot of times with those programs, they have stipulations where you're not able to move out the house like within a certain amount of years and all that type of stuff. Not that I was trying to move anyway, thinking about moving before I even moved in. But yeah, I just think it was because I already had saved up my money for that. But anywho, so yeah, the house, closed on the house, and the house was mine. So yeah, that was pretty much it with my process. My process was stressful. Like during that time, I felt like it was so stressful because it was a lot. It was like a lot to learn as far as how the housing thing even works, because of course this is my first house. I don't know nothing about this housing stuff, but luckily my parents were there helping me every step of the way. I have a very knowledgeable dad who's very familiar with the housing industry, so he was able to break down and explain a lot of stuff to me. He made sure that the loan officer was doing everything correct to the T, and he was trying to get over on me. He knew, like, oh, for your credit score, your interest rate should not be no higher than this. Like, he knew all that type of stuff. So they really helped me out a lot. But yeah, that's why I was like pretty stressful, just because it was just a lot within the process itself, trying to make sure that everything is right, that the house itself is coming along correct and everything is good and in order, and having to send back and forth so many documents and signing so many documents, making sure that the numbers are adding up correctly, making sure that the upgrades that I selected are the correct ones I selected, all that good stuff. So it just seemed like a whole lot. In addition, not to mention, in this whole house buying time, I was also in my last semester of grad school. So I was stressed out about that, just ready for grad school to be over and done with, just so over school at this point. So I think that is also why it just felt like a stressful time for me, just because I had so much going on. In school, part-time, in the process of buying a house, and still working full-time, trying to stay on top of my work stuff. So it was just a lot going on at that point in time. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it was all worth it. in the end. I knew that I did not want to rent forever because, or not even longer than a year, because to me personally, renting is a waste of money. Because if you're renting for 10 years, what do you have to show for that? At that 10 years, you spent all these hundreds and thousands of dollars towards rent, and you have nothing to show for it. It's not going towards anything but making somebody else richer. Pretty much, like, you're never going to own that property. So that's why, like, renting to me is just, I just was set on not renting for a long time and just wanted to go ahead and purchase. So yeah, that's pretty much it with how my process went. Yeah, it was a lot, but like I said, it's all worth it. I still, like, I'm coming up on being here a year, and I still find myself like looking around sometimes like, is this really my house? Like, I really bought this house by myself? Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just weird, but yes, I think everybody should, you know, get their stuff in order because, yeah, first, let me just back up a little bit. Get your credit straight first before trying to buy a house, because that is going to affect everything. Like, I'm so glad that I went ahead and paid off all that stuff on my credit while I was staying at home, because when it came time for me to move out, like when I moved into my apartment, my credit was so good that I didn't even have to put down a deposit at my apartment. And of course, like, at apartments, they're gonna ask you for a deposit, but yeah, I didn't even have to put down a deposit because I had built my credit up. And then same thing with my house, because I still had good credit, my interest rate is fairly low. So yeah, make sure if you're, you know, trying to buy a house, you're thinking about buying a house, want to buy a house in the near future, get your credit straight first, because it will definitely help you in the long run. Because of course, the lower your interest rate, the lower your mortgage will be, when you want to keep that mortgage as low as possible, because nobody wants to be living paycheck to paycheck trying to afford a mortgage that is like breaking them because their interest rate is too high or the house is just too expensive or something. Like, definitely don't agree with that. So yeah, so I would encourage, if you're interested in buying a house, I would say first probably get your credit in order. Make sure that you get that taken care of, because that's gonna definitely affect everything. Also, if you're in the process of buying a house, do not open any type of accounts. As far as, don't open a new credit card, don't buy a new car, don't do anything, because like I said, they ask you to send you your bank statements and all of that. So they're looking at everything. Like, you're sending them your bank statement, so they get to see everything that you spent money on. And of course, they're pulling your credit so they can see any accounts that you've opened. And I think in the eyes of the mortgage people on their side, that probably just looks irresponsible for somebody to even be opening up different accounts and adding debt to them while they're in the process of purchasing a house. Like, a house is a huge purchase. So definitely do not open any new accounts while you are in the process of buying a house, because it could mess up your loan and like maybe even like make your loan fall through altogether, from what I've heard. So yeah, so definitely don't open up any new accounts or anything like that. So I was like definitely making sure. I was barely buying like clothes and shoes and stuff like which I don't think they cared about that stuff, but I was just so paranoid and just wanted to really make sure that nothing went wrong with me buying the house. Like, I really, like, I was sleep paranoid, but of course everything worked out anyway. I was probably just being too paranoid. But yeah, so yeah, that's my little story about how I bought my house and became a homeowner at 25 by myself, no husband or anything, just me. So yeah, I would, like I said, I would encourage anybody who's thinking about becoming a homeowner. I think you should, because it's a great investment. Even if you don't want to live there forever, you can always rent it out, sell it, whatever. So yeah, if you have any general questions you want to ask about my house buying process that I might have forgot to mention or anything, feel free to comment below and I will definitely answer for y'all. And thank you for watching. I'll see y'all next time.